Beautiful people, wonderful people, lovely people, a pleasant evening to everybody. I can't say, because this seemed to be an all-season situation of, women being abused by men. It's just that you will have the flare-ups in pockets, from time to time, but it's something that is ongoing. It has not ceased. It is an ongoing practice, because it has been allowed. Now, I'm watching the news this evening, and at a Kingston high school, it stated that a 7th grade teacher attacked a female 7th grade student, attacked a teacher during a session. It was alleged that he pinned her down on the ground. One source said it may not have been that, but she was assaulted. And it was a male teacher who had to come to her rescue. And I've always posited a reality that men are physically stronger than women. For every 10 men that are made, 9 out of them or 9.5 out of them are stronger. The very few exceptions, the minor, the small number of women that may be stronger, they are very far and few. Very far and few. But predominantly, so we can safely say men are just stronger than women physically. This is not an age factor situation, It is just what it is. My fear, to be honest with you, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but one of love, of power, of a sound mind. But I'm going to be honest with you. A small part of me, my fear is that with this particular individual, because he would have passed the formative years, the very important years that you would teach principles in a child, which I say the entire package is 0 to 12. The first 3 years are very, very significant. You have to be very strident and focused. Then the next 3 when they're 7, and then after that, you watch it until they're at least 12. Thereafter, I'm not saying that you must leave them up willy-nilly. No, I'm not saying that. Because we're prone to wander, W-A-N-D-R, we're prone to failure. So you can, create more problems afterwards. But because you would have set the foundation, it may be different in the life of the child, where they will come back to what it is that they knew, the principles and the standards that they knew or they know. A little fear in me is that if this little boy is not rehabilitated and guided the proper way, he's going to become an adult, and he may display something similar to what the businessman did to the nurse. The 65-year-old man who is almost 70 did to the nurse. You understand what I'm saying? Because he doing that to the nurse is not a first-time assault on a female. Guaranteed. I'm sure that, because you don't just get up just one day. One of the things, if he wasn't that drunk, I was told, he would have been tipsy, because when he said the video, he would have been, if he was proper drunk, he would have been staggering and really sweating. Because of, his adrenaline would have been going, and you didn't see that. So I'm probably just a little bit tipsy and a little disoriented, but not too off. Not too off. He still would have been somewhat coherent. Somewhat. And for him to comfortably do what he did to the nurse tells the story of who he is as a human being. You call that hands and feet, quick to rush to do evil. It is among the 7 things that God abhors, that God detests. And you don't want God to tell you when he doesn't like something. It's strange, you don't see fornication and adultery being a part of that mix in the book in Proverbs 6. Go and read that. If people read, I think everybody should read Proverbs 6. Read the Amplified Version, read the Good News Translation, read the NLT version, the King James's version. And believe you me, so when you read it, you're going to be careful what you do to people, because the scripture says it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of God. And we see that in the lives of whole heap of people who do people wicked. I've seen people who do me wicked. Oh my God, what I say happened to them? Let me tell you. Whoa, that's all me can say. But the student, this student that felt comfortable to, let us say he pinned, we're going to go with the allegations. He pinned her down, but he assaulted her. Whether he pinned her down, some physical assault was made on the female teacher. Now, one of the problems that I have in this life is that we have a way of saying, boy, people are sometimes provoked. Some of these students are. And don't get me wrong, you have some teachers who belong in the sea like Ursula. They belong with the Dalmatian dog, them like Cruella. Believe you me, they are so evil and wicked. Don't get me wrong. We know that we have those human beings in the school system. But the reality is this. Even if you have the Ursulas, the Cruellas, the Jezebels, and the Delilahs, one of the things that is imperative for a student to learn is respect. Respect, when you can respect even the unlovable, it means that you've understood the art of honor and self-control and discipline. It's easy for people to respect people that they love and admire. Easy, because it comes natural and your emotions are feeling good. But when you have to respect those you don't really admire because of their poor character, it therefore tells me that you're a solid human being. David, that is why the Bible, that is part and parcel why God called David a man after God's own heart. You know how I realized David was a good man? And I said, God, maybe it's a good thing him do some of the things he went do, because boy, would have next to perfect. After, when he heard that Saul and his best friend Jonathan, that Saul's son, died in battle, you know what it said? If you go and read the book of Kings, that David wept for Saul and Jonathan. It was not just Jonathan, he wept for Saul. When he found Mephibosheth, that is Saul's grandson that was in Lodabar after he became crippled because the nurse had dropped him when she was escaping, you know, the enemies that were coming, and accidentally dropped him and he became crippled. When he found him, he said, you know, David says, is there anyone in the house of Saul? Saul and Jonathan, he called Saul's name. Saul were doing bad. Saul were jealous of him and tried to kill him for many years. I found Mephibosheth. It's not Mephibosheth. I hear people saying Mephibosheth. 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 Thank you. And gave him all the lands belonging to the father. All. Jesus, you want a better man than that? Me love David gone to bed. That was a clean-hearted man. You understand? Clean-hearted man. So my beautiful, wonderful people, we have a problem in our country. This young boy felt comfortable doing that because it's something that he had learned at home, at school, at play, but predominantly at home. People are who they are because of how they were parented, whether by a real parent or a fake parent. Predominantly, everything else is fluff, meaning just maybe you have secondary sources, you know, influencing them, the environment and so on, but predominantly the fact that they were not held, an accountability framework was not set up, discipline was not the order of the day. Being draconian is not discipline. So barking after a child and shouting and behaving in an unseeming way is not discipline. You're actually doing worse. You'd better you not talk. I better them come home every day and there's no talking. If you have to choose between barking and talking. And I mean barking and no talking, sorry. It tells that there is a problem in the home, and it is something that it is fueling them. You know, when you have acne and it is not dealt with properly, you see the new growth coming up. Even when they're trying to burn off the other one, you see the new growth underneath. It's a similar situation like that. And that is why they feel comfortable fighting at it. When I was going to school, I gave a lot of trouble, don't get me wrong. But if I teacher, I would be out of my cotton picking mind. I pick me as so by age and so. If I even them maybe a grade above me or two. But basically, essentially, students. Teacher, you're crazy, man. The respect we had to hold that high. Like the flags that they hoist. And not take out corporal punishment out of schools. Anyway, guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lions.